What is going on? Welcome to another episode of the Fit Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Luis Medrano. This is the place for plant-based foodies, vegan foodies who want to lose weight, feel great, and elevate their lives. In today's episode, guys, we're getting into the topic of flexible dieting. What is flexible dieting and how you can use it to succeed on your fitness journey and finally reach your weight loss goal. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So to start off, I want to chat a little bit about what exactly is flexible dieting and how you can use it. Well, I want you to imagine you're having pizza. That's one of my favorite foods. Let's just use pizza as an example. So it is the difference between having four slices of pizza in one sitting versus one and not having any at all because you quote unquote cannot have it, right? You're restricted from it because for some reason it's off of your diet, right? Pizza's off the menu. So it's the difference between completely cutting it out and having some, but also not having four versus having one, right? So flexible dieting essentially is being flexible enough to include the foods that you enjoy eating in a game plan, in a meal plan that will allow you to still reach your fitness goals, right? It's getting rid of the all or nothing mindset and the restricting mindset about I can't have these foods. And how many times have you heard, I can't have bread because bread will make me fat. I can't have too many tortillas because they're high in carbs. And I got to lower my carbs to an extreme amount in order to finally lose the weight. And we get into this restrictive mindset and this restrictive attitude when it comes to meal planning. And as a result, we end up just falling off and not sticking with it, right? So essentially, what it is a game plan, a way that us vegans can apply a healthy vegan diet. It's a way to apply it in a way that allows you to still enjoy eating your favorite foods without having a restrictive mindset, without having, because that just gonna is gonna lead to feeling deprived. And really, who wants to feel deprived in a fitness journey and feel miserable at all times? What kind of journey is that, right? It's not easy. It's simple. The steps to get fit, lose weight is simple, but it's not an easy process. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's easy, but it becomes much more doable and you maintain your sanity when you include foods that you enjoy. And that's the idea behind flexible dieting, is to create meal plans that include foods that you enjoy eating in a way that allows you to still reach your fitness goals that are specific to your macros, your calories for what you're trying to achieve. Right? It's going to be different for everyone. For someone, it might be four slices of pizza. For someone else, it might be one. But if that's something you want to include and you know you enjoy, then by all means. And that's what flexible dieting is all about, right? That's what the purpose behind it is. So the idea is here, the action is to get rid of the good food versus bad food, right? We don't want to like get into the idea of like bread is bad when I'm on a diet because I will not lose the weight. It is a quote unquote bad food. There is no success when we get into the mentality of good versus bad. I can have this food because it's good and that food because it's bad. We want to get away from that mentality. And the idea, the key behind that is flexible dieting. And that's the essentially what I'm trying to the message that I'm trying to bring home here is that you become much more successful and have a higher chance of succeeding. And not only that, here's the best part: maintaining the weight loss and making this a lifestyle of being fit and having that a high energy lifestyle when you incorporate a flexible dieting approach. So essentially, we want to talk a little bit about also how getting into that restrictive dieting is I know I have. If you've ever experienced the restrictive dieting, I've been on diets before where there's this huge list of things that I cannot have. It's like, okay, I'm gonna eliminate those and restrict myself, and I can only have this, and that can only last for so long. And that is not a way to build a healthy lifestyle. This is not about I'm not here to coach and teach about crash diets and lose X amount of pounds in 10 weeks and then all of a sudden your life is turned around. It's about making it a lifestyle, and restrictive diets simply fail. They will not work. And flexible dieting gets rid of the restrictive mindset and allows you to have a higher chance of success, right? So think about something that you've had in the past, maybe a mindset around a food that you thought was a bad food or a food that you had to get rid of while you were on a diet plan, and start changing your mind around that food and thinking instead, you know what, this absolutely can be part of my plan and I can enjoy it as long as it fits a certain, my certain macronutrient calorie targets that I'm going for, whether I'm aiming to lose weight, gain weight, maintain weight. In this case, we talk a lot about losing weight and feeling great. So obviously it would mean in a weight loss plan, right? A weight loss plant-based meal plan. So the main idea is behind flexible dieting, guys, is not avoiding foods, but rather including them in a macronutrient approach. When I say macronutrients, I'm talking about your macros, your three basic macros, which are protein, your carbs, and your fats. Basically, these are the major calorie contributors to your diet, right? Now, on a plant-based diet, when you're talking about protein, we're talking about things like tofu, seitan, protein powder, tempeh, edamame, beans, lentils, all these high protein foods that will help you hit your protein targets, right? Carbs, we're talking about fruits, veggies, breads, pastas, all kinds of plant-based carb sources, right? There's many, right? And then fat sources, avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil, flax oil, and things like that that contribute to higher levels of fat in the diet. It's about incorporating foods that you enjoy eating on a daily basis that allow you to hit those macronutrient targets. So instead of a list of foods that you cannot have, it's about going for a list of foods that I want to eat that fit within my macronutrient targets, right? My carbs, protein, and fat goals for that day. For example, I'm a big fan of peanut butter. Peanut butter is a high fat food. I can't just get a tub of peanut butter, obviously, and just eat out of it, right? I wouldn't do that if, even if I was trying to gain weight. I would want to spread it out among the day. But anyways, where I'm getting at is I want to enjoy it and I want to eat it in my meal plan. So I have it as part of my breakfast, but there is a certain amount that I can have. Again, it's the difference between having one slice of pizza and four slices of pizza, right? There is a difference. In this case, I know how much peanut butter I can include in my breakfast because I know what my calorie target is for the day and I just make it fit. I just make it fit for that meal based on my goal for the entire day, right? That's the idea behind it. So think of one food that you enjoy. For me, I like as a treat, I'm a fan of ice cream, right? Now with ice cream, it's very easy with a lot of the plant-based options that are out there. You can buy a pint of ice cream and it has all the info for you. How many calories is a third of a cup or a half a cup? How much fat, protein, and carbs are contained within that serving? You can take that amount and include it as part of your meal plan, say for like dessert, and have it even on a daily basis if you wanted to. And as long as it's like a budget with money, you allot it for a certain amount of calories and protein, carbs, and fats, your macro targets for the day, you can enjoy that food. That's the part of the flexible dieting plan. It's about including those foods that you love. Maybe ice cream's not your thing. You could say a piece of chocolate, include that in your daily plan. As long as it's accounted for in your macronutrient plan, then you're fine. This is how flexible dieting can work for you, right? So, and the main goal with flexible dieting is to make it a lifestyle. You want your fitness and your health. Let's say you were to lose the 20 pounds, you want to maintain it and even continue your fitness journey and get fitter, get stronger, put on more muscles, grow that booty, grow those strong legs, get a six pack, abs, whatever the next step would be. But the idea is not to yo-yo back and get that weight, gain that weight back again. And the way you do that is through a flexible dieting approach, right? The idea is to make it a sustainable lifestyle approach. And the way we do that is through flexible dieting, right? Because let's say you were to lose those 20 pounds and you aim to maintain it. Well, you just continue the flexible dieting, tongue twister there, approach in order to continue with your fitness journey. Maybe you're done with those 20 pounds and now you're looking to maintain your physique. So obviously you would increase the amount of food that you're going to eat because you're no longer on a weight loss diet, right? And you just continue with the same basic approach, including the foods you want to eat in that plan that fits your current goals, which is to maintain your physique. And then after a while, let's say you were going to want to, you know what, I'm ready to put on some muscle, which means you'll have to eat in a calorie surplus, which means eat a little more food than your body needs to maintain its weight. And so you're just including larger amounts of food of the foods that you want to eat. That's the flexible dieting approach, right? So, in this way, it becomes sustainable because it's now part of your lifestyle. It's no longer a diet that you do for a certain amount of time, but rather something that you do just kind of week in, week out as part of your normal routine, right? So one action item that I want you to take away with this in this episode is think of one meal. Let's start with breakfast because to me it's just the easiest and the fastest. Smoothies, smoothie bowls, oatmeal, things like that are just easy and quick to make. But think of let's as an example build your perfect smoothie bowl or oatmeal bowl, right? Let's say you like a nice creamy oatmeal and you want to choose your favorite toppings, maybe pistachios with some almond butter and some slices of banana. Maybe you love those foods and you don't mind eating them every day. Take a look at how much macronutrients each one will provide. You can do an easy Google search. What are the macros in bananas? In one banana, you'll easily get the protein, carb, and fat breakdown. In 1 cup of oats, easy to find these numbers and just kind of get used to understanding, okay, if I include a cup of oatmeal, one banana, a quarter cup of pistachios, and a tablespoon almond butter, about how many calories, protein, carbs, and fats am I going to get? With a simple Google search of those items, you can easily find your macronutrients for that, right? So that's the idea of building a meal. And then essentially later on down the road, you would put those meals together to build a meal plan that fits within your calorie range. Now, in this episode, we're not getting too much into how to build a calorie deficit weight loss plan, right? But we are discussing just the basics of what flexible dieting is and how it can work for you on your fitness journey, right? So doing something like this allows you to see how you can build meals with your favorite ingredients and take into account the calories, protein, carbs, and fats that are contained within that meal, right? So that's the idea behind it. So just to kind of close our episode here, I want you to think about if you've ever been on, because I know I have yo-yoed before where I lost 20 pounds and then 10 weeks later I'm back 15 or I gained those 20 or worse, maybe you've lost weight and then you gain more afterwards, right? So often that has been the case for many, many people. And we don't want to do that. We want to avoid that, right? So I want you to think in the past of how many times or when you've yo-yoed back and forth, right? And I want you to kind of take away this actionable step here and try to think back to that experience and ask yourself, did that happen because the diet was too restrictive? There was a lot of foods that I was not allowed to eat. And now think about how something like this, like a flexible dieting approach, can work for you. And do you think that if you were to take approach like this, where you can include foods that you want, ideally, you have someone do the meal plan for you, unless you're good at building the meal plans, right? But you, for example, work with the coach and you say, I'll enjoy these types of foods that I don't mind eating every day. And then he or she can easily build a plan around those foods. Nowadays, with technology, it's easy to use the tools to do that too. Things like with MyFitnessPal and other macro tracking apps will help you do that. But think about how you can incorporate the concept that I talked about here with flexible dieting into your plan, into what you've done before. Maybe you're on a weight loss journey again, or maybe you're in the middle of one and you're finding it hard or challenging, right? Can something like this flexible dieting approach work for you? Do you think you'd be able to stick with it if you were able to eat foods you enjoyed every single day and this made it easier to stick to it? Right? Do you think after the 12, 16, 20 weeks were over and you met your weight loss goal, it'd be much easier to stick with it because you're able to continue this flexible dieting approach and now include it in meals that help you maintain your fitness goal, maintain the success that you've seen, or even continue building from there? So just kind of think about those things, guys, and hopefully this episode sheds some light on how you can use the flexible dieting approach to your vegan diet, to your plant-based diet, especially if you've been struggling and with weight issues and you have that skinny fat look, you want to build muscle, you want to shed belly fat, and you just don't have that lean, strong body you were hoping for as a plant-based eater. Think about how this can work for you. And hopefully you found value in this episode, guys. If you have any questions about the flexible dining approach, that is my favorite way to do it. I like to keep my meal simple at the same time. So I merge simplicity with flexible dining into foods that I enjoy eating week in, week out. And as a result, I'm in the best shape I've ever been and only getting better from there. So that's my hope for you guys. And hopefully you found value in this episode. If you have any questions, just let me know and I'll be happy to reach out to you and give you a hand, help you out. Much love, peace, and I'll see you on the next one.